Today is still March 13th, 2021. I already uploaded two other videos to YouTube earlier today. This will be the third and final video that I upload today. Not only is this the final YouTube video that I upload to YouTube today, it's also the final video that I upload to this YouTube channel as a part of this daily upload schedule. So, I've been doing this for 6 months. It's definitely longer than I expected it to go on for. I started this in early September 2020, this daily upload schedule. So every day for the past little over 6 months, I've been uploading a video to this YouTube channel. And I think that it was a pretty great run. I definitely got to talk about a lot of things. The last 6 months were definitely very eventful. The upcoming months appear to be a lot better than the past few months. COVID-19 appears to get a lot better, appears to be getting a lot better. We have the vaccine available, so I think that now is a great time to put an end to this daily upload schedule. But I would like to talk about today what I think the next few months is going to look like in terms of COVID-19 and how is this pandemic going to play through. I would like to talk about a video that I uploaded exactly 6 months ago to this YouTube channel. It was called something like 6 months of lockdowns, how will this end? So I uploaded that on September 13th, 2020, exactly 6 months after many schools across the United States got shut down. My school personally got shut down on March 13th, 2020 for the first time. So that was exactly 6 months before I uploaded that video. It was also exactly a year ago. I uploaded that video 6 months ago. The shutdowns began a year ago. And that's actually one of the reasons why I chose today as the end date for this daily upload schedule, besides the reasons that I talked about in my last video, because this is the 1 year anniversary of many things getting shut down across the United States. I thought that this would be a good day to end my daily upload schedule. It's also the 6 month anniversary of when I first talked about COVID-19 on this YouTube channel, and it's been just over 6 months since I started this daily upload schedule. I think today is a great day to make this video, and today is a great day to put an end to this daily upload schedule. So, I would like to talk about some of the things I said in that video and what changed between then and now, and what things may look like in the upcoming months. So, like I said, COVID-19 has been going on for a year now. It was declared a pandemic on March 11th, 2020, but many things got shut down throughout that entire second week of March. 2 days ago, on March 11th, 2021, in order to commemorate the 1 year anniversary of this pandemic beginning, Joe Biden actually gave a speech. And basically, in that speech, he talked about how by May 1st, 2021, he wants every state to be able to allow anybody above the age of 18 to enter in line to get a vaccine. That doesn't mean that anybody can get a vaccine by May 1st, but it means that anybody above the age of 18 will be able to actually register and actually wait in line for the vaccine. So I thought that was interesting. His speech was pretty optimistic. He was saying that by July 4th, you could have a barbecue with some of your friends or some of your neighbors, and it would be relatively safe to do so. He was talking about how in the next few months, how many people will be able to get the vaccine. He also talked about last week how by the end of May 2021, how anybody who wants to get a vaccine that is above the age of 18 will be able to do so because we have now vaccinated a good proportion of the people that were above the age of 65 or that had serious underlying medical conditions that really needed the vaccine more than everyone else. Since those people have been able to get the vaccine now, many of them have gotten the vaccine, we can now start expanding access to the vaccine to anybody that is above the age of 18. So, in that video I uploaded 6 months ago to this YouTube channel, I actually uploaded two videos around 6 months ago. The first one I uploaded on September 13th, 2020. The second one was on September 17th, 2020. After this video, you can go watch both of them again. I watched them both a few hours ago. And basically, I just talked about in that video when I thought this pandemic would end. So at the time when I uploaded those videos in the middle of September 2020, since I uploaded those videos 6 months ago and I also uploaded those videos 6 months after the pandemic began, that means that there's an equal amount of time between when the pandemic began and when I uploaded those videos as when I uploaded those videos and today, which is kind of interesting to think about since the pandemic began exactly a year ago and I uploaded those videos basically 6 months ago. So I would have to say the second half of this pandemic has definitely felt faster than the first half, meaning that the September through March portion of this pandemic definitely felt a lot faster than the March through September portion. I think that since I was already used to this pandemic by September of last year, the months after that, like October, November, December, January, February, they all went by faster than the months like March, April, May, June, July 2020. So when the pandemic first began, time felt like it was going by really slowly. And then after a while, it started to pick up speed again. That's just the way I feel, but I've been doing this YouTube channel, this daily upload schedule for the entire second half of the pandemic, which is kind of weird to think about. It doesn't feel like I've been doing this for 6 months, but that's the reality. That's one of the reasons why the second half of this pandemic doesn't feel like it's as long as the first half, because I've been doing this for 6 months, but it didn't feel like 6 months to me. But the first half of the pandemic definitely felt like, if anything, it was longer than 6 months. But getting back to what I was talking about, back when I uploaded those videos to YouTube, those two videos, at the time, there were 30 million worldwide cases of COVID 19, and there were around 928,000 worldwide deaths due to COVID 19. To put things to comparison now, we have, we just hit earlier today 120 million COVID 19 cases across the planet, so it increased by 4 times as much, and now we have 2.66 million deaths across the planet, so that increased by around 3 times as much. Back then in the United States, there were only 6.7 million cases of COVID 19, and that's right around when the death count of COVID 19 in the United States hit 200,000. But now we're at 30 million COVID 19 cases in the United States, and now we're at 546,000 deaths due to COVID 19 in the United States. Like I said, we just hit 30 million cases of COVID 19 today. What I find interesting is that we're currently at 30 million COVID 19 cases in the United States, but that's also the number of cases there were in the entire world 6 months ago, 30 million cases. And also, since 30 million over 120 million is one fourth, United States makes up 25% of the worldwide cases, even though we have 4 to 5% of the world's population. So back then, that was before the third wave of COVID 19 began in the United States. So that was right when we were finishing up with the second wave. The second wave hit the southern states worse than any other state in the United States. It hit states badly. It hit states like Texas, California, Georgia, and Florida pretty badly, but states like New York, New Jersey, like in the Northeast and many other areas, they weren't hit nearly as badly. So back then I talked about how these spikes generally caused certain states to be hit worse than others, but that turned out to not be the case for the third wave, because the third wave hit every state badly, except maybe like Hawaii, for example, but basically every state got screwed over by the third wave. And at the time, back in September, this was before the third wave began, I talked about how the summer wave was really bad, how it was the worst wave. Boy, was I wrong about that. The fall and winter wave was much, much worse. I was thinking at the time that most states in the United States either had a major spike in the spring or in the summer, and as a result, there might not be a big spike afterwards, since most states already dealt with the bad wave. But I was just completely wrong about that. It got much, much worse after I made those videos. November, December, January, and even February, they were all bad months for COVID 19 in the United States. Many people died, many people caught the virus. It was not at all pretty, and it was not at all fun to talk about COVID 19 when that all was going on. The good thing is that things are starting to get a lot better now. The daily death count and daily case count has really decreased substantially in the past few weeks. So, back when I made those videos, I talked about how Dr. Fauci predicted that things would return to normal by the end of 2021. That is currently around 9 to 10 months away, but when I made those videos, that was over a year away, so I was kind of scared because it kind of felt like a long time away, and I was not thrilled at the idea of spending another year worrying about COVID 19. But I think that prediction was basically correct. I still stick with that prediction. I think that by the end of 2021, by the time we enter 2022, things will basically, for the most part, return to normal. I think there will still be some people getting COVID 19. I think that eliminating it is basically impossible, but it's not going to be a major issue. That's basically what I said in the videos I made 6 months ago, but back then, the end of 2021 was over a year away, but now it's like 8 months away, 9 months away. So it's interesting how the predictions back then that people like Dr. Fauci made, at the time he was the CDC director, now he's the former CDC director, but at the time, Robert Redfield also predicted that things would return to normal in late 2021. I think he said something like late second to third quarter of 2021 is when we could expect to mostly return to normal. So that would be like June through September of this year, 2021. So that's only a few months away, but at the time it was almost a year away. So it's kind of interesting to see that Robert Redfield's prediction was mostly correct on that. I think it'll take a bit longer than like June or July of 2021. It's going to be more likely September, October, November of this year. So it turns out that I actually did talk about a potential, at the time I called it potential second wave of COVID-19, but it's really the third wave, since the first wave was in the spring, second wave was in the summer. And I talked about how I didn't think that it was that likely that another wave would occur, because this virus had been shown to not be affected by changes in temperatures. But what I didn't take into account was the fact that if the temperatures were colder outside, more people would stay indoors, and the virus does spread a lot more easily indoors. I didn't take that into account. I think that's one of the major reasons why the past wave that we just dealt with, the fall/winter wave, I think that's the main reason why that wave was so bad. But I didn't really expect there to be a wave this bad. I thought that the summer wave would be the worst, but I was completely wrong on that. At the time, many people were talking about how the flu epidemic on top of COVID-19 could potentially cause major health problems in the fall, and that could be a reason why the fall and winter would be really bad. But it turns out that flu was not really much of an issue in the past few months. I think the reason why is because a lot of people were already wearing masks, were already socially distancing. All the precautions that we were taking to try to combat the spread of COVID-19, it also helped to deal with the flu. So that's why the flu virus was not much of a problem this past winter and this past fall. At the time, I talked about the second stimulus package and how it wasn't being released because the first stimulus package was passed by the United States federal government in March of 2020, but at the time it had been 6 months almost since that had been passed. It turns out that the second stimulus package didn't get passed until the very end of 2020, the last few days of December 2020. It took a long time to get it passed because Republicans couldn't agree with Democrats on what a proper budget was for the bill. But then right after that, the Democrats got control of the presidency with Joe Biden, the Senate with Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff, and they kept control of the House. And because of that, they didn't need to agree with Republicans on a budget. They were able to get this stimulus package passed pretty quickly, and it actually just got signed by Joe Biden today, the third stimulus package called the American Rescue Act. I also talked about in those two videos back in September about when the vaccine might be available. My prediction was March of 2021, which is the month we're currently in, but it actually came out 3 months earlier than that. It was approved by the FDA in December of 2020, and at the time, back in September, Robert Redfield actually predicted that the vaccines would be approved in November or December of 2020, and he was correct on that, so I found that pretty interesting. I also talked about in September how even after the vaccine gets approved by the FDA, it'll still take many months to get it out to a majority of the United States population, and obviously I was correct on that. Even though it's been 3 months since the FDA approved of the Pfizer vaccine, only around 20% of the United States population has received at least one dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. I talked about it in the video that I made earlier today, but that's still, I think we're still making good progress. I think the vaccine rollout process started off pretty slowly, but then it really sped up in the past few weeks, and I think it's continuing to speed up, so it's good that we're able to vaccinate people, many people per day now in the United States. So I think that I made the prediction 6 months ago that life would return to normal in late 2021, right before 2022 begins, but that herd immunity with COVID-19 would actually be achieved until sometime in 2022. I actually take that back. I take the latter part back because I think that herd immunity could be achieved potentially by the end of 2021. The thing is that I didn't think the vaccine would be released until March 2021, but it turned out to be released in December 2020, so we can actually reach herd immunity a bit sooner than I initially thought. So perhaps by the end of 2021, we could definitely reach herd immunity and we could have life return back to, at least mostly return back to normal. I said back then that the pandemic would basically come to an end in the United States between October and December 2021. I still stand by that prediction. I still think that that's what things look like now, even though we're only 8 months away from that time of the year. We're only 8 months away from late 2021. When I made those videos back in September, late 2021 was over a year away. So now we're a lot closer to that, and we've already had 20% of the United States population receive at least one dose of the vaccine, and that number is only going to increase in the next few weeks. I would like to emphasize that when I say that life's going to return back to normal in October through December 2021, I'm talking about the United States specifically because many other countries unfortunately do not have access to the vaccine like the United States does. I talked about that in the vaccine distribution video I made earlier today. If you want to hear more on what I had to say about that, look at that video. But for many other countries in the world, life may not return to normal until like 2023 or 4 potentially. I really hope it can be sooner than that, but there's the chance that some countries across the world may have to deal with this virus for like 2 or 3 more years until like 2023 or 2024. I hope that we can really speed up the vaccination process. Then these countries could potentially have life return to normal. I guess the main concern now is that COVID-19 mutations could potentially cause it take longer for life to return back to normal in the United States. There's the potential for a fourth wave of COVID-19 in the United States because of the mutations in the upcoming months, but I really don't think that this wave will be nearly as bad as the third wave. I think that we've gotten past the worst wave of this pandemic, and I'm happy about that. I'm optimistic for the rest of 2021. All I hope is that in the next few months, more countries can have access to this vaccine. It's crucial that this happens.